Welcome to all B.Sc. first year students of optional subject Fishery Science. During last periods, we have discussed and studied external morphology or the external characters of wallago attu. For our convenience, for our sake, these external characters of wallago attu we have studied in two parts as PPT second and PPT third. In first part, we have seen external characters of wallago attu. Body is to be divided into three parts: head and trunk. And in second part or PPT number third, we are studying the third part of the body, that is tail. Up to here we have seen last periods. Then boys, we have started new important article today, and that article is to be important for the examination point of view, that is structure and functions of skin of wallago attu. Structure and functions of skin of wallago attu. This is the important article next to the external characters or the external morphology of wallago attu. Again we have seen, that is wallago attu, when these are to be mature, full grown, length of this fish, these are to be measured from 15 inches to 6 feet. 15 inches to 6 feet in length. And when fish, these are to be completely mature, on the body of the fish or on the body of wallago attu, scales are absent and body is to be covered by thick soft skin. Naked body is to be present, means scales are absent on body is to be naked, and this body, these are to be covered by soft thick skin, which is to be protective covering, protective layer, which we have studied today. The important aspects, structure and functions of skin of wallago attu. Structure and functions of skin of wallago attu. What is the structure? Which are the functions performed by the skin of fish body? First, we have seen structure. The body of wallago attu is covered externally by the skin. Body of wallago attu is covered externally by the skin, and skin is the outermost covering of the body. Body of wallago attu is covered externally by the thick soft skin, and this skin is the outermost covering of the body of fish, and it is a complex sheet of tissue. Skin is a complex sheet of tissue having several cells in thickness. This skin is the complex sheet of tissue which possessing the several cells in thickness. That's why this skin, these are to be important outermost protective covering of the fish body or the wallago attu bodies. And this outermost protective covering of the body, these are to be a complex sheet of tissue. Generally, these sheet of tissue on the upper layer or upper surface, upper cells, these are dead cell layers. Upper cell layer, these are the dead cell layer. These are to present, these are to be occur on the skin of the fish. The derivatives of the skin play an important role. The derivatives of skin play an important role in the metabolic activity of the body. the derivative of this skin, the derivative of the skin which is to present on the fish body, this derivative of skin, these are to be play important role. In which activity? It is to be play a role in metabolic activity. Metabolism, it is the important point, important process for the animal's life, and this metabolic process, these are to be performing an important function by the skin. The skin of wallago is mainly composed of three layers: an outer epidermis, middle or inner dermis, and in addition to these epidermis and dermis, a third layer is present, and this third layer only found in those fishes on which body scales are absent, and instead of scales, body is to be covered by thick skin. In these fishes, third layer is present, and that layer is called as subcutis. Subcutis is the third layer which is to be we have studied today. Yes. See the fish structure and functions of wallago. This is the freshwater shark, commonly called as freshwater shark because it is to be abundant in quantities. On large scale, it is to be found in fresh waters of India, rivers, reservoirs, tributaries, ponds and lakes. These fish, these are to be abundantly found and behave like that of the shark. Hence, it is called as freshwater shark. This wallago's body, see, that is the body of this fish. These are to be seen. That is, this is the complete body of the fish. What is the important character on the body of these fishes? Scales are absent. On this body, scales are absent, and instead of scales, body is to be covered by thick soft skin. This is the skin. These are the skin, and skin is the soft thick skin. These are to present all over the body, just from snout region up to the base of the caudal fin, from just snout up to the base of the caudal fin region, whole body, complete body, which is to be covered by soft thick skin, and scales are absent on the body. Scales are absent on the body, and this skin, that is the skin, these are to be play important role. Skin, these are to be play most significant role in metabolic activities, catabolism and anabolism. This skin, these are to be possesses the main role, key role. That's why this skin, these are to be important. Generally, it is the outermost protective covering of the animal's body. This skin, it is also called as sensory organs. It is also called as one of the important sensory organs. And in wallago, skin, these are to be made up of multicellular. This skin, these are to be made up of a complex sheet of tissue. Number of cells, these are to be present. Number of cells, these are to be found in the skin. And generally, the skin, these are to be made up of epidermis and dermis. Outermost layer is the epidermis, innermost layer is the dermis. But instead of these two layers, in those fishes, remember, those fishes on which body scales are absent, in those fishes on body scales are not found. Instead of scales, body is to be covered by thick soft skin. Body is to be covered by thick soft skin, and body protect from injuries, protect from pathogens or other parasite. That skin, these are a multicellular. It is a complex sheet of tissue, and upper cell layer or the upper cell tissue, these are to be generally dead, and new cells, these are to be arise, these are to be developed on that place of the cells. Similarly, in wallago, this skin, these are to be made up of two layers, outer epidermis, inner dermis, but scales are absent on the body of fish, hence third layer is to be present, that is the inner layer, outer epidermis, middle dermis, and inner subcutis. Inner layer is called as the subcutis. This subcutis is the third layer which is to be present in those, remember, in those fishes scales are absent on body. Those fishes scales are absent on body. In these fishes, third layer is present, and that third layer is called as the subcutis. Yes, subcutis. When we have observed, when we have seen, this is the transverse section of skin. See, transverse section of skin. And when we have seen this transverse section or TS section of skin of wallago, then we can observe, we can see the number of cells which is to present on the body. It is to be made up of two layers, epidermis and dermis. That is, this is the mucous cell, this is the gland cell, these are the taste bud cells, these are the supporting cell, these are the stratified epithelium cell, these are the pigment cell, these are the club cells. Yes, these are the basement layers. Means all these cells, that may be taste bud cell, supporting cell, stratified epithelium, pigment cell, club cell, mucous cell, gland cells, all these cells, these are to be present in the skin, and hence skin is the multicellular. It is a complex sheet of tissue made up of epidermis, dermis, and subcutis, which is we have seen, we have observed in this figure. Yes. See, this is the figure drawn by hands. Club cells. Yes, this is the club cell, pigment cell, mucous cell, gland cell, taste bud cell, then supporting cell, stratified epithelium, longitudinal epithelium, then basement layer, trigonal cell. All these layers, these are to present. This is called as epidermis, then dermis, and last layer is called as the subcutis. These three layers, these are to present, these are to be found in this fish. Yes. The skin of wallago is mainly composed of three layers, an outer epidermis and inner dermis, and in addition to these, a third layer is present which is called as subcutis, which is to be we have seen in just figure. Then first part, epidermis. Epidermis. Epi means above, dermis, the layer which is to present above the dermis, that layer is called as the epidermis. Name itself indicates that. Epidermis, epi means above, dermis means above the dermis. The layer cell part which is to present above the dermis, that layer is called as the epidermis, and epidermis is the outermost layer of the skin. Remember, epidermis is the outermost layer of the skin which is to present, which is to be found in wallago. This epidermis is made up of stratified epithelium. Epidermis is made up of stratified epithelium, and it consists of several layers of flattened it is to be made up of several layers of flattened epidermal cells. This epidermis is made up of stratified epithelium, and this stratified epithelium, these are to be consist of several layers of flattened epidermal cells, mucous cells, club cells, taste bud cells, granular cells, pigment cell. All these cells, which are these cells, that is this epidermis, these are to be made, these are to be consist of several layers of cells, that is the flattened epidermal cells, mucous cells, club cells, gland cells, taste bud cells, granular cells, pigment cells, supporting cells, basement membrane, all these cells, all these layers, these are to present in the epidermis. These are to present in the epidermis, that is in the skin of the wallago. Yes, just again this is the figure TS of skin of wallago. Just we have seen these cells are the which cells? See the figure, these are the club cells. Yes, this is the club cells. Then these are the pigment cells. Due to the pigment cell coloration, these are to be formed. Color formation, various shades of color, these are to be developed, these are to be formed on the fish body, that is the color or the pigment cells. Then this is the mucus cell. Mucus cell secrete the mucin, a glycoprotein mucus, and when this mucin, these are to be combined with water, forms a white gelatinous lustrous substance liquid, that is called as mucus, and this mucus, these are to be protect the fish from different pathogenic as well as injuries as well as the enemies. That's why this mucus cell, these are to be important. Then these cells, these are the gland cells, these are the supporting cells, or it is also called as taste bud cells. Taste bud cells for the taste, sensation, to take the taste of water. These are taste bud cell, these are to present, and in this taste bud cell, two types of cells present. One is the supporting and second is the, that is sensory cell. Supporting cells and sensory cells, which is to present in the taste bud cell. This is the part. Then that is, these are the supporting cell. These are the supporting cells, as it is to be a stratified epithelial cells. These cell layer, this is the, that is longitudinal basement membrane layer or the longitudinal barrel shaped cell layer. These are to present, these are to be found in this epidermis. And below to this layer, a layer is present, it is called as the dermis, in which muscle bundles, blood vessels, connective tissue fibers and other different parts, these are to present, that is called as the dermis, which is seen in this figure. Yes, these are the some figures we have seen. Then structurally these cells, these are to present, it is to be found flattened epidermal cells, flattened epidermal cells forming the superficial layer. These flattened epidermal cells, these are the present, these are to be found on the upper layer, superficial layer, which have centrally located round or oval nuclei. Flattened epidermal cells forming a superficial layer, which have centrally located, centrally placed round or oval nuclei. The middle epidermal layer consists of spindle shaped cells. The middle epidermal cells consist of spindle shaped cells with central oval nuclei. With central oval nuclei. Below to the epidermal cell, below to the epidermal layer, a columnar cell layer is present. A columnar cell layer is present, and this columnar cell layer is the basal layer of the epidermis. It is the basal layer of the epidermis, means basement layer of the epidermis. Below to this epidermal cell layer, columnar cell layer is present, and columnar cell layer is the basal layer of the epidermis. Basement membrane is supported to the columnar cell layer of epidermis. What is the basement membrane? Basement membrane is supported, basement membrane is supported to the columnar cell layer of epidermis. Columnar cell layer of epidermis. The mucous cells are flask shaped. Mucous cells are flask shaped or spherical. Yes, remember mucous cells are which shaped? These mucous cells are flask shaped in this fashion. Flask like appearance. That is, mouth is to be wide neck narrow and again bottom, these are to be a wide. That is basement layer is these cells, these are the basement membrane is supported to the columnar cell layer of epidermis, and below to the epidermis these layer, these are to be columnar cell layer is the basal layer of this epidermis. The basement membrane is supported to the columnar cell layers. The mucous cells are flask shaped or spherical. Mucous cells are flask shaped. Mucous cells to secrete the mucus, or it is to be spherical, rounded, with a short neck and a crescentic nucleus at the bottom of the cells. In these mucous cells are flask shaped cells or spherical shaped cells with a short neck and a crescentic nucleus at the bottom of the cells. The mucous cells are derived from the basal layer. Mucous cells are derived from the basal layer, and it is distributed from the base of the periphery. This mucous cell layer is to be distributed. This mucous cell layer, flask shaped spherical with short neck and a crescentic nucleus at the bottom of the cells, and this mucous cell, these are to be derived from the basal layer, and it is distributed from the base of the periphery to the base or to the those cells, these cells onto the open surface, open layer, just we have seen in the figure, that is the mucous cell. See this mucous cell, these are to be opened by a opening, that is mucous cell opening. Such cell, these are to present, these are to be found in this, that is the epidermis region. The mucous cell secrete the glycoprotein. Which secretion these are to be secrete? That is the mucous cell secrete the secretion. That secretion is called as glycoprotein, called as a mucin. Which nature? Glycoprotein nature, and which is to be called as mucin. When mucin mixed to the water, when this mucin, these are to be combined, mixed with water, and forms the thick slippery liquid substance, lubricating substance. That lubricating substance is called as mucus. This mucus, these are to be important to spread a whole the body, and when body is to be covered by mucus, then such body, these are to be important, such mucus, these are to be useful to the fish. First, to cut the water easily, and second, no parasite, no pathogen, these are to be attack on the body of the fish. That's why this mucus, these are to be important, these are to be act as a lubricating organs, act as a lubricating materials in this fish also. That is the epidermis or the epidermal, these are to be found, these are to be seen. Next, in the epidermis, the club cells are spherical or oval. In the epidermis, the club cells are spherical or oval. Club cells are quite large. With a distinct cell boundary. Club cells are spherical or oval. Club cells are quite large with distinct cell boundary, and vesicular nucleus is to be present at the center. Vesicular nucleus is present at the center. The club cells are mostly present in the middle and basal part. Club cells are mostly it is to be found in the middle and basal part of the epidermis. Basal part of the cells, these club cells, these are to present, these are to be found. Second, the taste bud cells are few in numbers in the epidermis. The next cells, that cell is called as the taste bud cells. Remember, name itself indicate that taste bud for tasting water, for tasting, diagnose the different tasting conditions of water. Taste bud cells are present. These taste bud cells are few in number and sensory. Taste bud cells consist of gustatory or neuroepithelial cells. These taste bud cells, these are to be consist of gustatory cells, or it is to be present of neuroepithelial cells and the supporting or sustentacular cells. In this test bud cell, two types of cells are present. One is called as gestatory cell. Gestatory cell is also called as neuroepithelial cell. And second cell, that is supporting cell. This supporting cell is also called as sustentacular cells. The gestatory cell is elongated. Gestatory cell is elongated and slender. The gestatory cell is to be elongated and slender with an oval basal nucleus. Nucleus is to present, but which type of nucleus? Which is to be oval nucleus, and distal pore, and on a distal pore is present. Such type of test bud cell, such type of test bud, these are to present in fish, wallago or the freshwater shark. The sustentacular cells are located in between. Sustentacular cells are located in between the bases of the sensory cells. Sustentacular cells are located in between the bases of the sensory cells. The pit organs occur in large number. Pit organs occur in large numbers at the base of the epithelial pits. What is the character? The sustentacular cells are located in between the bases of the sensory cells, and pit organs occur in large numbers at the base of the epidermal pits, in the skin of the head, and in normal lateral line. And on head region, that is a pit organs occur. Pit organs which is to present. A number of pit organs, these are to present at the base of the epidermal pits, which is to present in the epidermis region, epidermis layer. The basement membrane supports the epidermis. Basement membrane, these are to be support the epidermis and support the epidermis and separate it from the dermis. Two layers, epidermis and dermis, these are to be separated from each other by a layer. That layer is called as basement membrane layer. Basement membrane layer, these are to be support one side, these are to be supporting which cell layer? That is the epidermis, and another side these are to be supporting the dermis. Means dermis and epidermis, these are to be separated by a basement membrane, support the epidermis and separate it from the dermis. Pigment cells of various sizes, again remember, pigment cells of various sizes are present in the epidermis parallel to the basement membrane. In the epidermis cell, pigment cells of various sizes are present, and these pigment cells, these are to be parallel to the epidermis on basement membrane. And what is the function of this pigment cell? They are important for the color formation. Again, in this pigment cell, number of cell layer, these are to present. Some are the xanthophores, some are the erythrophores, some are the melanophores, and all these xanthophores, erythrophores, melanophores, all these are to be play a role in color formation of the body or the coloration of the body. That's why these pigment cells, these are to be supported, these are to be important. With this, all parts we have seen. The first part of the skin, that is epidermis. Means epidermis is the outermost covering, outermost layer, protective layer. It is made up of complex sheet of tissue. number of cells these are to present. That may be club cells, that may be test bud cells, that may be other gland cells, pigment cells, then glandular cells, varieties of basement membrane cell, and hence it is called as a complex sheet of tissues, that is the epidermis. And this epidermis, it is to be thin, but more or the maximum cells these are to present, it is to be found in the epidermis. With this we have completed. Again, in short, first part, that is the structure of skin of wallago, and structure these are to be possesses forms three layers: epidermis, dermis and subcutis. We have seen the first part, epidermis. In second part we have seen, that is the dermis, subcutis and functions of skin. Thank you all of you.